Good morning, guys. I just want to continue with one small concept now, which is yesterday we have seen a brief introduction about a constructors, right? What is a constructor? How are we going to use this constructor? When the constructor is being called? All these details we discussed in the yesterday's class. On top of it, today, one more concept that I want to explain out over here is about polymorphism. Before jumping on and explaining about that constructor overloading concept, today I'll start with a polymorphism. Okay, one second, let me type in that pointer here. Okay, after the final. Okay, polymorphism. Okay, so what exactly this polymorphism is? Why are we using this polymorphism concept in Java? What is the use? Okay, so we should know that difference, right? What we need to do as part of this polymorphism means it's one of the concept available in OOPS. Okay, this is one of the concept available in OOPS. One OOPS concept which allows us to perform a single action in different ways. Okay, so basically a single action that can be performed in a different ways using this polymorphism concept. What does it means? Right, we should know basically, right? So what exactly a single method or a single name with a different ways of accessing that particular info. So what we need to do means, let me consider a simple example as an animals. Okay, and on these animals, I have dog, lion, and elephant. So here, this is a class basically, and this animals a class, animal class, and a method as sound. See, basically, the sound method for dog is a differ, right? And the sound method for lion is a differ, and the sound method for elephant is differ. So if you clearly observe, to perform a single action. So if you observe the a single action definition here, that a single action in this example is a sound itself. This single action will be performed across different animals in different ways. Right. It's not going to be one and the same in all the classes. It will be different in all the different classes. So if you observe, the sound for this dog animal is a differ, the sound for this lion is a differ, and the sound for this elephant is a differ. All these are having a different sets of sounds here. Okay, which we can treat it as a polymorphism concept. That's fine. So a generic polymorphism is a good. So what about this polymorphism in a programming level? Why are we considering this programming level polymorphism? Polymorphism is the capability of a method to do different things based on the objects. Capability for a method to do different things as per the objects. For suppose if I create an object to a dog, the sound will comes in a different way. If I create an object to a lion, the sound will comes in a different way. If I create an elephant object, basically the sound will comes in a different way. Okay, in a simple terms, how the polymorphism will do is polymorphism will let us define one rule and have multiple implementations, I can say. Okay, that's going to be one rule. Sound is a one rule, and that rule has a multiple implementations. Like different sets of objects have a different sets of information. Okay, and immediately a quick question will rise in our mind: which method that needs to be called will be determined at the runtime. Okay, so which sound it needs to be picked will be determined in the runtime. Hence, we can treat it as an runtime polymorphism. Okay, so we will study about two different types of a polymorphism: a runtime polymorphism and as well as a compile time polymorphism. Moving ahead with an examples. Okay, moving ahead with an examples, we will see that particular thing here. But the first and the most important thing that needs to be considered out over here is overloading. Inside the polymorphism, we can talk about overloading. Guys, if you remember, we discussed about this overloading concept yesterday. If you remember, we have studied about a constructor overloading. So we have seen a simple example on that. What does it overloading means? Same method name, different arguments in the same class. That's what we have observed, right? So basically, if you see the definition of overloading, or I can consider a method overloading, then we can say that allows you in a class to have more than one method with the same name if their arguments list is differ, or I can say and their arguments list is differ, which we can call it as a overloading. Method overloading allows you to create multiple methods within a single class with the same name and with a different arguments list. Okay, good enough. So this allows a class, we can consider this as a simple kind of, okay, this considers as a simple kind of a constructor overloading itself. Okay, cool. Done the deal. That's fine. So the next point of what we need to consider is how can we consider method overloading concept? Right? How exactly we can consider a method overloading concept. So the first thing we can achieve this overloading concept is with different arguments. It means what exactly the different arguments. So here the first thing is add is a method, int is the first parameter I have created. Add int comma int. Again, this is the second time that I have created. And again, third method, add int, a float, and an int. So if you observe here, this is a valid method overloading. The reason is the method name is the same with the different set of arguments. Okay, the method name is the same and with a different set of arguments. Okay, so here, as these are the three different things here, we can consider it as a valid case for method overloading. And the another example for this one is with data types changes. So it means the first one is add int. and the second one is add float comma int. Even it's going to be a valid case itself. Okay, even it's going to be a valid case for this particular morphism. Okay, cool. Done the deal. And so here, what exactly this overloading will comes out over here means this is a kind of a concept, is a kind of a concept that comes under polymorphism. Okay, cool. So, in order to understand more about this particular one, we need to discuss about different types of polymorphisms. Once I have explained this one with an example, then I will show you this concept. Okay, once we are done with this example, then I will show you this concept. So, what I'm doing right now, let me go back to my editor and let me create a new Java program for me. Okay, so let me switch back to my Eclipse editor, and here within this Eclipse editor, I'm creating a new Java program. So here, new Java class example 19. I know that overloading will occur within a class with a different arguments. So public void add system.out.println 2 plus 3. Public void add again int a comma int b system.out.println a plus b. So here if you clearly observe guys, this is an add method and this is also an add method. The only difference between these two is these two have a different sets of arguments. So we can consider that methods are overloaded. Good. Now let us call these methods in another class. Example 20 with the main methods. And here example 19 space obj is equal to new example 19. Obj dot say I can see two different methods. Add obj dot add 5 comma 4. That's it. I have specified this one. It's going to display the methods out over here. Okay, that's fine. It's going to display the different sets of methods here. That's good. This is all about overloading concept here. Okay, good. And then the next point here is, guys, we will come to a point that where exactly we will use this method overloading and as well as a method overriding. So we will explain about this overloading and as well as overriding with furthermore examples in the next session. So today what are we doing means we are doing a brief introduction about overloading and overriding. In the next session, we will see why this overloading and overriding, what are the types of polymorphisms available, and then the relation in continuation with that we will see in the next session. So here we understood about overloading. So the ultimate point with respect to this overloading here is same method name with the different arguments. If you observe the yesterday's example, which is about a constructor concept. See here, the constructor name is one and the same, but with a different arguments. Even we can treat it as a constructor overloading. Constructor overloading concept. Okay, whenever the same method is there with a different set of arguments, we can treat it as an constructor overloading concept itself. Okay, if it is applicable to a method, then it is a method overloading. If it is applicable to a constructor, then it is a constructor overloading. That's it. That's the simple point which you people need to consider, guys. Okay, good enough. Done the deal. And the next point that I need to consider on top of this one is, okay, so once after we discussed about this overloading, and as well as the next one here we need to study is about a overriding. Right. So overloading and overriding are the two different concepts which we need to understand. Okay, so let us study about overriding as well. So immediately a quick question will rise in our mind why we jumped on to this particular concept. What is the reason of switching from a constructor to a polymorphism? The reason is our yesterday's concept is a constructor where in which we come to a point about overloading. That's the reason we studied about this overloading. To know what exactly this overloading, we need to know about inheritance. That's the reason we discussed about that inheritance concept as well. That's it. That's the simple point, guys. Okay, good. So this is all about a overloading stuff. Then the next point that we need to consider on top of this one is a overriding. So what exactly an overriding concept means? Okay, so here let me jump on to a document and let me add a point here. Method overriding. So what is this concept? Declaring the methods, declaring the methods in the subclass which is already present in the parent class, which we can call it as a method overriding. Okay, this whole concept we can treat it as a method overriding, guys. So it means the definition is there, the definition is there in one class, and you want to implement the same definition in an another class that comes under this overriding itself. Okay, so it means I can say child class can give its own implementation to a method which is already defined in the parent class. Okay, good enough. Done this one. In this case, the method present in the parent class will be overridden with the method defined in the child class. So what it will happen in the child class, we were overriding the method. So what it will happen, the method defined in the parent class will be overridden with the child class methods. Okay, an example for this particular one is, a simple example for this one is, assume that I am saving a contact to my mobile, saving a contact to a mobile. And basically I had a sync with my Gmail, so all the contacts will be synced to my Gmail only. Okay, all the contacts will be synced to my Gmail only. So I have a two mobile phones which were tagged to same mobile or same Gmail accounts. I already saved one contact with Surendra name, with Surendra name. I already saved one contact with the Surendra name in my first mobile. As we are using Gmail, hence automatically I can get the contact in my second mobile. That's fine. This is a quite common thing happening in a real world. So what I want to do on top of this one is, if I want to save another contact in my second mobile with same name as Surendra, in the second mobile, I will get a pop-up stating that already having a contact with the same name. Would you like to override that contact. If you click on a S, then the contact will be overridden. So what contact will be overridden? Whatever the contact you have stored from the first mobile, that the contact will be updated with the info whatever you are editing in the second mobile. So we are overriding the content, right? The same kind of a logic will be applied to a method also. In the parent class, we will define a method. In the child class, we are overriding that particular method. That's it. Ultimately, whenever you call that particular method, the logic present in the child class will be retrieved. Okay, the logic present in the child class will be retrieved out over there. Okay, the ultimate objective of this overriding concept is child class wants to create its own implementation. Okay, child class wants to create its own implementation. That's it. Nothing more than that. Done. Done up to here. So let us see a simple example for that so that we can easily understand this particular one. Okay, so here, uh, let me create a new package. Okay, scripts one, script two. Directly, I'm creating a new package, new Java class, example 21, and the package name is scripts 3. Okay, and here within this class, I'm defining a sum, public void sum, system.out.println, sum in parent class. See, I have a simply defining this info, sum in a parent class. Now, let me create another new class, example 22, and these two classes should be in a relation, example 21. Good. I have created this info. Now, public void sum. I'm just calling this sum again, and here system.out.println sum in child class. That's it. I haven't done anything, guys. I have created an this particular thing. Now, let me add a main method in this class itself, and let me create an object. Obj is equal to new example 22. Obj dot sum is my methods. Let me run my class and see what exactly the content it's been printing to the console. Okay, let me see the content, what exactly it's been printing to the console. Run as. See, sum in a child class. So usually what it will happen whenever the two classes are in a relation, usually whenever two classes are in a relation, then we no need to recreate any logic present in the parent class. Directly, the logic present in parent can be reused in the child class itself. But only thing is we need to, okay, if child class needs to override the logic with the desired info, in such cases, we will use this overriding concepts. Okay, as we are implementing this one with respect to methods, hence we can treat it as a, okay, as a child methods. Good. So what is the main advantage with this? We are not touching, or we are not updating the parent class logic. Simply, we are creating our own logics for our child class for the same method. That's the most important thing. Okay, cool. Done the deal. Done up to here. So this is all about a method overriding a concept with an examples. And there are some more concepts that we need to study, which we are going to discuss in the next session, which is types of polymorphism and further examples on loading, overloading, and an overriding concepts we will study in the next session. Okay, cool. So this is the basic thing which we have a plan for today, guys. Let's connect in the next session.